Everything we need ready. So welcome everybody. We are super excited. So Chris, ditto on that, right? Like everyone that's showing up, we're gonna have a really great group, great participation today, guys. I know we're coming out of, the holiday and the time of the year, right? So you think about how many people are off doing something else, aren't making this a priority in their business right now, aren't making it a priority to show up. So we are in for a treat today. I know a ton of you guys were with us 2 weeks ago, where we did kind of the first session. So this is called part two. We always run a two-part series. We had Chris, who I'll do a whole, for anyone that doesn't know, I know a lot of you do, I want to do a full introduction. I just want to recap on a couple of items. But we did a huge series, the first part 2 weeks ago. Massive content for you guys, and I want to recap on a few things that we went over. If anyone wants access to that, we have the recordings, we have the documentation we went through, we can get that out to you guys. And I really look at it as we dig into what we're going to do today. We want to cover a lot of topics with you guys. I sent out, at least internally, to some of my group a lot of the content that we'll be covering, right? We want to be able to hit on the market, what's going on, all the stuff that's kind of going on out there just for a few minutes. We want to make sure we hit on, right, Chris, the top 5 lead generation pillars that you guys should be making part of your business in 2024. We want to talk about a very strategic plan around listings. We want to talk about all the business metrics so that you guys walk away today with a custom plan that you guys are able to work with and moving forward out of today. We're going to talk about how to create your schedule. We're going to talk about what exactly you need to do moving forward next. So you guys should have a very executable plan coming out of today, which is going to be fun. This is one of my favorite sessions and kind of topic to go over. But real quick here, because I see a couple people adding into the chat already, just to dim down kind of the noise and the chaos of that, since we're going to go through the whole session today. 2 weeks ago, I did kind of a preempted session, and it's something that's important to me. I think this is critical when we think about that. Unfortunately, the percentage of people that show up that will actually create a real plan, right? A real plan to work with, actually put together the pieces to their business that are necessary to have something executable that they can hold themselves accountable to, that they can follow as a roadmap, is very small, right, Chris? And so one of the things that I dig into in that first session is going through kind of the reality of what your business right now. It's a deep dive, right? And to me, this is a prerequisite to even all the awesome content we're going to go through today. Doing a deep dive on how you've been currently running your business, right? The profitability of your business, the sources of your business, the resources that you have access to, let alone what are this new set of goals? What's the motivation you have that goes towards it? What are you actually building? And so anyone on here that does want it, it was a 1-hour session. We have the recording, we have all the templates and the handouts. It was super powerful. If anyone does want access to that, the easiest way, I'm going to keep this separate so my assistant and I can just email it out to you guys. If you guys shoot me a message and just put part 1 on Instagram at Michelle Wilson EXP, I'll put it in here in the chat. So anyone that wants, this just makes it easy. We'll keep our chat clean here. Hi, Rachel, who's in India right now. I don't know what time it is. You should put that in the chat. But if you guys shoot me a message and just put part 1 and then also include your email address, you'll get that shot out to you very quickly here later today. That way you guys can work on that as well with having an executable plan that you got to work with today. So our theme, our topic today and part 2 is around action, implementation, execution. So I've got Chris Hardy on here with me. We're going to co-host this together. And for anyone that doesn't know Chris and Yolanda Hardy out of that own Pro Agent out of Houston, Texas, these guys are massive owners, builders, leaders, producers in our industry. We've been working together and collaborating together for a long time, kind of very similar backgrounds, right? With a push in how do we help train, lead, build, provide back into the industry with They run this awesome sales organization there out of Houston. If you guys see even the background there behind Chris, they've got a pretty sick office and setup there in Houston if everyone's in those markets. So tons of content to be brought to you guys. Chris has incredible energy. Those of you have already heard him before. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and kick off. We got a lot of content. So hope you guys are taking notes. Hopefully you're ready to go, and we'll dive in. So just make sure you guys message me directly if you want the previous session. So diving right in. I just want to spend only a few minutes on this, Chris. So there's obviously a lot of noise going on around like the lawsuit and the industry. And we already know how the news works, how social media works. Everything's like dramatic, everything's super negative. Are there things happening? Are there things people are thinking about? Of course, right? Are there going to be changes in our industry? Of course, right? There's always been, right? There's always things happening, always things going on. I think the biggest thing, just to kind of address this nip in the butt for a couple minutes, is that's unfortunate. The verdict with that lawsuit, obviously there's going to be appeals, probably more appeals. Guys, nobody knows on even a state level what this means. They don't know what it means yet, right? There's probably going to go on. It could be years, right? So that's an unknown factor. And there will be adjustments made, right? We'll address it then. I think the biggest thing is around our mindset, what we do focus on, what we can control, and where the mentality of agents needs to be, Chris, right? Like what are we communicating to agents right now, right? What are we communicating to our clients? And I think that's the biggest thing to address, because so many people are like, what do we do? What do we do? What's happening with buyers agents? What about this? That's what I just laid out for you guys. That's kind of the reality of where we're at. There's not one specific answer of like, here's what just changed in our industry. This is going to be a long process. I hope everyone understands that, right? And we make the changes and we make the pivots. Okay. So Chris, what would you share with the group as, what should everybody be focused on, right? What's the message out to agents of what they need to focus on right now?
Great question. So I think the first thing you just said a second ago was control. I want you to write down, everybody that's on this, I need to focus on what I can actually control. And what do we actually know right now in the marketplace? 99.9% of listings in the market are still offering a commission to a buyer's agent, correct? So while the getting is good, why don't we go sell as many of these properties as possible on the buying side, if that's what you're focused on doing as a portion of your business? And while we work on that, we clearly need to focus more on listings, because listings are always going to be the name of the game, right? Can you make sure you guys can hear me well? You guys,
we hear you perfect.
Good. Perfect. So what can I really control? And there's a lot of uncertainty in the marketplace. We have sales are down. Buyers and sellers agents are a little bit concerned about these verdicts and what's going to be happening. Buyers and sellers are uncertain. So their decisions, how they're making decisions is kind of slow, right? They're taking their time. So action is down, right? And I wrote this down, you need to make sure that what's going up is the amount of contacts you're making, how much value you're presenting in what you're doing. One of the great things is making sure that you're providing all the series of benefits that an agent's going to get from work. That a buyer or seller is going to get from working with you, right? And showing tremendous value on why it's worth hiring you as a buyer's agent or hiring you as a listing agent, right? And if you're able to explain those services in such a transparent and clear manner, they're going to see the value in working with you versus doing something in a different kind of way, And bear with me a little bit, because I do hear an insane amount of reverb. I can hear myself, so I'm trying to be as clear as possible.
You sound perfect to us, Chris. And what I would just real quick here, what I was going to add on to that with you guys, with what Chris is saying, it's, what we can control is communicating our value, right? And isn't that what we always work on? But think about, even on the buyer side, they think it's so simple, right? They're thinking you're going to show a house, you're going to write it up, and it's simple as that, right? You're going to knock this deal down for them. There's so much that gets done behind the scene. That should be mapped out. That should be listed out. That should be presented. That should be communicated, of all the services. And I say behind the scenes, because that's really what we don't demonstrate. That's what they're not seeing, right? That's what we're not showing. That should be documented. That should be listed out. That should be communicated.
They're seeing one or two, three things, but then what's happening is there's 100 jobs that you have behind the scenes. And I think we're in such a great era where technology can be utilized. So when you're going on listing presentations, buyer presentations, right? You can have all these things in a PDF document, and you could explain all the things you're going to do for them. But how about before you even show up, could you get some videos together which show step by step on how you put them in the most optimal position possible? Who else is going to send any information like that? Who else is sending videos like that? When they see that they can do this either on their own, like you're talking to a FSBO, or if you're a buyer that thinking they can just go buy a house on their own, they can do those things, right? But if it makes more sense to do it with you, then they're going to do it with you. If it puts them in a better position, if they can make more money, if they get a better deal, if they just have more certainty in the process, then it's going to be worth paying you and having you compensated. But what are you doing other than just going, trust me, bro, I'm the best for the job? You have to really showcase this correctly. Michelle, you on there?
Yeah, I'm here. Oh, you're waiting for me to interrupt.
Yes.
That's what I'm best
interrupt
at.
me. Interrupt me.
So what I would add for you guys there, you're gonna laugh at me because I just went in. I have such a dark PowerPoint slide. I just went and plugged in my light. Can you guys all see my screen too?
Yes.
Oh, I totally I'm in like a night light. That doesn't really work. That's fine. Because we got some dark slides here. So I'm gonna do this to keep us on track because you guys know that we're talkers. But just I think that's the wrap of it. When we look at, are there gonna be changes? Yes. Will you be adapting to those changes? Yes. What is the focus? It's on doing the work. It'll always be on doing the work, right? It's always going to be on not listening to all the riffraff, right? And it's going to be showing up, doing the work necessary to generate and service the clients and leads that we have, period. That is what solves your problems. That is what keeps you moving forward. And I think that's, you stay focused on the activities, right? And that's what we have to do. So Chris, I think the next thing that I want to jump into here, I'll control the slide so we move through it, is let's talk about the top 5 lead gen pillars right now that are going to bring the highest return to agents.
No doubt about it. So when we talk about these pillars, if you're a brand new agent, you should look at these pillars with nothing but opportunity. And if you're an experienced agent, and you've tried some of these pillars before, but they didn't work out, don't give up on yourself. There's reasons why these things haven't worked out. And it's because we haven't done them for a long enough duration, right? And we'll have agents in our office that try FSBOs. So the first one we're going to talk about is FSBOs, right? For sell by owners. And an agent will go, man, those leads are those types of sellers are very difficult for me to set an appointment with. And you ask them, well, how many for sale by owners are you talking to each and every single day? And it's, well, I called 10, so I talked to 4 of them. Well, is 4 going to really give you a great result if you're not a powerhouse, skilled real estate agent who takes tons of for sale by owner listings? Probably not. You're just going to have to talk to more of them, right? So if we could put on there the for sale by owner as your number 1 lead source right now. I asked one of the agents yesterday, how many for sale by owners are within 60 miles of Houston? And there was over 200 for sale by owners. We know that such a large portion of those people are going to be hiring a real estate agent. So why shouldn't they be hiring you? Do they even know who you are? What is your follow-up plan? How are you communicating with them? And how are you actually hearing what they need help with so that you can actually help them with that, right? For sale by owners may not have needed you 2 years ago. Do they need you now? They need you now more than ever. And what's going to happen is they're going to get hit so hard by investors who are offering them way too low than what they want to take, or it's going to be a buyer who needs them to finance them the home. And most sellers don't want to do that. They're looking to take their cash out and move forward. So you have to be that agent that's going to get in front of those people. And if you're not good with converting for sell by owners, you need to ask yourself a couple things. How many times a day, or how often, or what's the duration of time in the day that I'm spending working on the skill set that's going to convert for sell by owners into listings taken? And if it's right now 0, then you probably can't expect too much out of making, prospecting calls to for sale by owners. So maybe that should be 30 minutes of your day every day is just working on those objections, working on those dialogues, what questions I need to be asking that are going to share the perspective that they need to be having right now, right? And then number 2 with for sale by owners is how many for sale by owners am I willing to talk to every day? So is that number 10? Is it number 20? Is it 30? It could be based around your market, but if you're in a certain market and you're like, well, there's not a ton of for sale by owners, well, maybe you should widen your radius a little bit, especially if the price point is worth it. Most people on this call will drive an hour if they can get a listing that's in a great price point. It's going to pay them well. So how many for sale by owners are in your radius that you're willing to work? And how well are you on top of that on a regular basis, right? Are you looking, oh, it's 200 now, it's 180, it's 250 for sale by owners. Are you keeping track of these things? And then how much time every day am I going to spend following up with the for sale by owners that I've been speaking to every day? That should probably be 20, 30 minutes at minimum a day where you're just calling back the for sale by owners, and you have to bring value on each and every single call. There's enough for sale by owners, I guarantee, in your marketplace where you could be listing 1, 2, or 3 of those a month super easy. But if you're not spending the time on this, it's going to be super hard. Number 2 on here is going to be expired and canceled. So when we're talking about expired and canceled, you know, there are people that are terminating their agreements with their agents right now. They're canceling their contracts, and it's because they need a result sooner than later, and their agent may not have the skill set or is not constantly updating on what's going on in the market. They really don't know how they're positioned in the marketplace and compared to other listings within the neighborhood, within a quarter mile, half mile. And if you can reach out to these people and make sure that they understand the type of service that you provide and how much you're going to be updating them on what's going on in the market so you guys can be in the best position possible, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for the person that's not just going to post it on Instagram, go show that expired and that canceled. Hey, I'll go to everybody's door in this damn neighborhood in order to find a buyer for it. Is that the kind of agent you're looking for? They're not looking for somebody that's going to have a passive approach. They're looking for somebody that's going to get after it because it ain't the same market as it was 2 years ago, but they're expecting a quick result like it was 2 years ago. So you got to do more to get that result. What are you actually doing to get that result, right? And when it comes to these for sale by owners and expired and canceled listings, you definitely need to be spending 1, 2 hours a day or more reaching out to them via the phone. But how many for sale by owners and expireds or canceled are you actually going to the door? Can you suit up? Can you dress professional? Can you have some great information with you? And can you knock on their door and start asking them questions? And you're going to be there at the right time, enough of the time, right? You know, if I go to 10 expireds or 10 for sale by owners, I think there's a great chance that you could probably do at least 1 or 2 or 3 listing presentations on the spot, especially with the FSBO, especially with an expired that recently expired. Hey, before you take 2, 3 months off, you know, taking it off the market, let's go over what's going to happen for this thing to go under contract in the next 21 days. And if we can get it under contract in the next 21 days, would you want to list now or do you want to list later? Of course, they want to do it now, right? And so not only should you be focused on these pillars in terms of calling on the phone and getting a hold of them that way, but how many of these people can I actually get in front of at their door? The next one on there is, well, I don't even say this again on expireds. 2024, just like 2023, is going to have way more expireds and canceled listings than the 2 years prior.
Yeah.
Am I going to capitalize on it? Am I looking for now business or not? Because outside of for sale by owners, outside of expireds and canceled, what other lead source is really going to give you a listing appointment today guaranteed? Can you really talk to 20 for sale by owners and not go have 1, 2, 3, 4 appointments set for today and tomorrow and possibly the next day? And if you can, it's because your skill level's not there. So when are you going to start spending 30 minutes to an hour working on that skill set for that one pillar? I think you should be spending 20, 30 minutes on for sale by owners every day and 20, 30 minutes on expireds and canceled outside of the Breakfast Club if you're a part of the Breakfast Club every day. The Breakfast Club, you may not even be the one that gets to role play. It's where you get to observe most of the time, and then you can take what you learn and put that into your other practice time that you have in the day. How much time is your favorite football player, your favorite basketball player, your favorite golfer working on their skill set? It's 4, 6, 7, 8 hours a day. And for most agents, it's 0. The next one on that we're going to have is going to be your past clients. You know, I want to separate past clients from your sphere of influence. And the reason why is because most people have more confidence to reach out to their past clients because they've actually worked with them on a sale before, right? But what happens is we don't talk to them enough. We don't ask them enough questions, and we're too passive even when we do talk to them because we don't want to come across as a salesperson. You have to ask yourself, if I've sold, whether it's 50 homes in my life, 250 homes in my life, 1,000 homes in my life, a certain percentage of those people need my help this year, and a certain percentage of the people that they know need my help this year. But if I'm not making the connection, are they really going to make the connection for me? And so I want you to think about this real quick. How many past clients reached out to me this year and gave me a deal, whether it's because they needed my help or somebody that they know needed my help? And let's say that answer is 5. Let's say 5 past clients reached out to you, but let's be honest, you're not that good at reaching out to them. I would imagine there was probably another 25 deals on the table that you lost. So if you're that agent that's calling for sale by owners, calling expires, calling canceled, calling really the hard pillars that you really have to spend time getting good at, and every once in a while you get a referral from a past client, but you never spend time actually reaching out to your past clients, you are losing probably 85% of what you could be getting. I think you're getting a small fraction because a lot of people are intimidated to even reach out to you because you don't reach out to them. Right. And I think past client is a lead source that you need to be reaching out to. They need to know what their home is worth all the time. If they bought a home with you, they should know on a regular basis, what is the market value or what does the market look like in my area? And are you being the translator of the market for your past clients so they can make educated decisions, right? And then number 4 is going to be your sphere of influence, your COI. These are all the people you know by face and name, right? If you walked into a store, they would recognize you, you would recognize them, but maybe you just have not done a deal with. Maybe they haven't referred you anybody. When's the last time you reached out to every single person that you know like that? And the chances are that it's very minimum. And it's because you probably do not have a list together. And if you do have a list together, it probably only has a fraction of who you should actually be talking to. I remember one of our agents who's on here, great agents, Alex Hunter, he was getting a lot of business from his COI. But then one day he goes, man, I've really only been talking to 35% of them. And then I'm like, well, call the rest of them. And then he did. And then bam, 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 nothing but deals. And he's sitting there like, I don't know why I wasn't calling them. It was just some bullshit in my head. And in reality, what's stopping you from mastering for sale by owners, mastering expires and cancels, mastering past clients, mastering your COI is the bullshit in your head. And so as soon as we can clear that out the way, then we can really get to work. Because remember, you're going to find the positive in the current market by what you can control. And you can control how much time you're spending on those first 5 pillars, right? And then you start turning those COI, that sphere of influence, into past clients or into referral partners because they referred you deals, right? And so what's your current system and your setup with your past clients and your COI? Do you have an actual routine in how often you're talking to them? And the chances are that 90% of agents just aren't doing anything. And it doesn't count that you're just emailing them or posting something on social media. You actually need to be having genuine conversations. Somebody asked, what is COI? COI is your center of influence, your sphere of influence. These are the people that know you by face and name. And then we have number 5. Number 5 is going to be circle prospecting. There's some tricks to this, okay? When it comes to circle prospecting, I'm not saying that that's going to be a lead source that is going to give you a ton of business off the bat, but you could utilize pillars 1 and 2 to do more circle prospecting. And what I mean by that is that if you're going to go to a door of a for sale by owner or an expired, you need to go ahead and knock on 5 to 10 doors around that listing, right? And that allows you to get more information on the neighborhood, more information on maybe why that property didn't sell or why that person is going for sale by owner. But you're going to get more market knowledge for that specific location. You're going to be able to serve those sellers a lot better in that area, right? And it's going to give you the opportunity to talk to a lot of people that when certain things change in the marketplace, it may make more sense for them to make a decision then. And so you can spend a lot of 2024 talking to people that are in the neighborhoods where you actually want to list and sell real estate. And over the next 12 months, as these people start to change their perspective on what's going on and they start to make more decisions, you're going to be in a position to serve those people because people in those neighborhoods aren't going to call you. You got to call them. So whether it's in person and you want to go out there and door knock a neighborhood where you want to dominate, you can do that by just deciding on the neighborhood, or you can decide on a neighborhood that may already have 10, 20, 30 expireds over the last year to 2 years. Go to those expireds, go to those for sale by owners. Those are going to be a very great person to talk to get an appointment today, but they may not even be there. So are you just going to drive to another one? No, maximize your time and get to door knocking around that one. But what I would also advise you do on number 5, circle prospecting, is what are the 5 to 10 subdivisions that you want to dominate during your career? Do you have this down already? I was talking to one of our new agents yesterday. We talked about the area he lives in. He's like, I already know the 5 neighborhoods I want to dominate. That's so freaking exciting. Well, how am I going to dominate that neighborhood? It's going to be from land, air, and sea. I got to get them at the door. I got to be that politician for my business. I got to be shaking their hand, smiling, talking to them, asking them questions. But I also need to do that on the phone because not everybody's going to be there in person. And I know I can maximize a lot by being there on the phone and talking to a lot of people. So those would be my top 5 pillars. I don't want to spend an hour on that, but I can.
And I hope, so I want to add to this, Chris, which is perfect. Really quick here. You guys just see the main presentation slide deck, right? You guys see the main screen, not the dual.
Yes.
Okay, making sure. So here's the biggest thing. And I hope none of this is stuff you guys haven't heard before, other than I hope you guys really listen to like the tactical application of what Chris is sharing with you guys. Okay. Because here's reality. There's a lot of ways to generate business, right? We are in the business of generating leads, right? I don't care through what methods you're using, what sources you're getting through your business, right? Which is one of the biggest parts around what we're doing now is how do we help you guys grow your business? How do we help you get better at the sources you're already working? How do we help you add more sources and more effective sources that are going to bring you business now? And that's going to be fruitful this year, okay, this coming year. And so one of the biggest things, I guess, that I'll highlight here with these top 5 that Chris just talked about is this is how you go get the business. Obviously, guys, there's 100 ways we can do business. We've got marketing, we've got social media, we've got mailers, we've got lots of different ways we can do business, right? And they all work. Buyer lead generation, seller lead generation, they all work. It all makes sense. We should be leveraging multiple different pillars to our business. But what Chris is highlighting here is your top 5 direct lead sources, okay, that are going to give you an active approach to generating leads. Okay. The number one thing that we all have to always focus on is how do I create a duplicatable, predictable business that I can control, right? I can be dropped from a helicopter anywhere in a new market and I can control and recreate my business. It is not dependent on the market. It is not dependent on what company I work for. It is not dependent on everyone selling me leads. Are you guys following me? Sure. Obviously, there's so many different ways we can generate business. This is your core that gives you full control over what you are doing. And the most common thing, especially with what we're dealing with, and guys, here's reality. And Chris, you said this at the beginning. We were talking about the market. We're talking about the lawsuit, all the stuff that's going on. You drive listings, right? Chris, you drive a listing dominant operation there, right? Our entire organization of 600 agents is 75% listing dominant because that's what we coach, teach, and train to so agents can control the market and control their business, right? And I wrote this down. Probably the number one thing I hear, Chris, and probably you for 2 decades of talking to agents every day, right, is how do I get more listings? I want more listings. You want to solve your problems right now and moving forward. You learn how to get more listings, right? If you develop the skills to consistently generate listings, most of you would solve all of your production problems.
100%. And I want to add this. There's agents watching this that are going to go, but I like buyers and I like working with buyers and I want to do more buyer deals. Fantastic. For sale by owners are going to have, like, who makes up the for sale by owners? The ones you actually want to work with are the investors that are actually willing to pay you a commission, and they're always looking for more investment properties. So take their listings, find them more deals. And since you prospect, you find them deals that nobody even knows about. And then also when it comes to for sale by owners, there's a lot of people that just try it on their own and they're just selling their own personal home. Most of those people are going to need to go buy a home. Expireds, a lot of times they need to go buy a home, your past clients. So listings actually get you more buyers. And, you know, you said something real quick, which was the marketing. You know, social media is great. Facebook, Instagram, even mailing in certain areas. There's a lady that mails in my neighborhood. She dominates the neighborhood. She's spending a ton of money, right? But what happens is those things get highlighted when you actually have conversations to people in those areas or in those pillars. Meaning my Instagram and my Facebook and all my branding and marketing is there so that when I talk to people and they look me up, they go, holy crap, this is the real deal. This guy's really in my city. He's really in my town. He's in my neighborhood. He's taking listings. He's actually in the business every single day. But when you just are waiting on the media, the branding to get the business for you, it's going to take longer than what you need it to. And I don't want you to be in a position where you're at the mercy of people reaching out to you. And instead, you take control and you reach out to them. And what you're going to see is that your past clients, your sphere of influence, will actually like a lot more of the media you put out there when you have genuine conversations with them. When you don't talk to them, they don't like your stuff as much. And we know we know we love when people like our stuff.
It's creating engagement, right? And so what I would say for all of you guys is I want you guys to write down these 4 steps. Okay, I'm going to give you a little highlight here on the screen, but I'm going to go in depth. So I want you guys to write notes on this. I'm going to give you guys 4 steps that will get you consistently taking listings every single month. You just have to start, okay? And I put down that you have the focus, you guys, and we started this and was like, what does the focus needs to be? It needs to be intentional towards the generation side of your business, period, right? The rest will work itself out from there, right? But even more so, when we talk about the listing side, this is where I'll start with, okay? So number 1, you have to make a decision, right? So it's a really simple 4-step plan that obviously you guys can immerse yourself in a lot of things that go into that, but you have to make a decision, right? So number 1, if you want to start taking listings consistently every single month, you have to decide if you are going to take a passive or an active approach. Okay, what we've been talking about the last few minutes, but let me elaborate on that, right? Because again, you can get business from all of these sources. If you guys follow our exercise from 2 weeks ago, I don't care if you're selling 150 homes right now or you sold 5 last year. What were the sources of every single deal you did? Okay, you need to know that, right? How much of it was it reactive, right? You reacted because it came to you, or did you go out and create it? Okay. And you'll see that there's a lot of different ways you're getting business, right? What can we recreate? And now one of the biggest things I want to highlight here on what I mean by passive or active approaches, because you can get business from both, also will apply to your business plan, also will apply to the urgency, okay? Because we talk about an active approach. This is going out and getting business, right? These are those 5 sources that Chris just highlighted for you guys. This is why someone can, Chris, join into our organizations, right? Start in our coaching programs, show up and participate in the open forum systems that we all run, right? And 30 days in, 60 days in, 90 days in, guys, whether they could be brand new to the business or they've been in the business for 12 years, right? Start working into these manners and in these ecosystems, and they're taking what? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 listings a month.
We have a handful of agents that have
30,
been in the
60
business
days
for
in.
30, 60 days, and they have 3, 4, 5 listings.
The reason I emphasize this just for the group here, guys, is because when we're about to get into the technical business planning stuff in a second, but I want you guys have to get your mindset in the right place. You have to know that there's differences here. You have to be able to make decisions instead of just going, well, I've only been sphere-based my whole career. That's great. That is your gold mine. Like, what do we do to build on top of that, right? Well, I'm getting most of my business off of social media. Awesome. How do we emphasize that? But if you're trying to grow your business, you're trying to double the sales, you're trying to increase what you're doing, and you have any kind of urgency involved, there's going to be the active approaches, right? That's what's going to get you business right now. We should be doing the passive ones as well. It's just going to take a little bit longer. Does that make sense to everybody?
Michelle, I think for most people, the number one reason why they didn't get what they wanted in 2023 is because they simply didn't talk to enough people, right?
Mhm.
And if you go back and you think about how much time in your day typically you actually spend talking to people when your whole goal is client acquisition, you would be amazed at how much you just get caught up on the admin side and you're not talking to people, right? So you've got all these different data flavors of business that you have to be talking to every single day, whether it's sphere of influence, circle prospecting, past clients, for sale, by expired listings. You've got a whole plethora of people that you should be talking to every single day. And one of the number one things that needs to change in 2024 is your mindset and your approach of, okay, I've got this amount of time that I'm going to allocate towards real estate every day. How much of this time am I going to spend actually talking to people with your mouth, right? Not like sending them a DM or putting up a Facebook video that doesn't count as a contact. But make no mistake about it, this real estate game is a contact sport. And I don't care what agent that you talk to who's successful, they will tell you that the majority of their day is spent talking to potential new customers, right? And so that's the number one thing that needs to change in 2024 is how much of my day am I actually spending talking to any of these people? You might be thinking, well, I don't like expired listings. I don't like for sale by owners. They're me, whatever, fine, fuck it, who cares? Okay. Reach out to people is the biggest thing that's got to be your goal in 2024, if that makes sense.
And
All right. Client acquisition, client acquisition, client acquisition. Sorry, I'm in.
I love it. And guys, you saw me bring up bullet 2 here, right? That client acquisition time, lead generation time, talking to people time, having the conversations with all these different ways we generate business time, that has to be time blocked, right? This is where you're doing the activity and the approach that you're deciding in step 1. It's very simple. As you can see, everything we're teaching you guys is very simple, right? You decide what activities you're going to do, what approach you're going to take, and now we block it out. That's called running a business. Okay. And I want you guys to all write this down because here's the real deal. Any activity done intentionally will work. Do you guys agree with that?
Yep.
I don't care what methods you're using. I don't care what approaches you're taking. Any activity done intentionally is going to work. Okay. And then number 3, right? You have to. This is a conversation business. You are not going to win by just sending out mailers. You're not going to win by just buying a bunch of leads. You're not going to win by just doing a bunch of social media marketing, right? You're not going to win by just calling a bunch of FISBOs, okay, by door knocking. You have to get really, really good at what to say. This is the separation, okay? This is why a new licensee can outcompete the top agents in their marketplace 90 days later, is because they get really confident and really powerful at what to say, okay? Obviously, I have a highlight here on the Breakfast Club. This is something that we all run together every single day, Monday through Friday. A huge portion of you guys on here are a part of that, know what we're talking about. This is where we train. It's a sales gym, right? Because isn't this the truth, right? This is our business. This is a separation factor of the top 10% and everybody else. I don't care if you're brand new or what season you are in your career, you have to get really good at what to say. And especially in a changing market, especially when there's changes in the industry. That's probably my most important part on all of this is you got to get really good at what to say. You will change your results in 30 days. I promise.
The number one thing that agents say, Michelle, is I'm really good in the living room. Like,
Number
raise
one
your
thing.
hand if you're the type of person that says, I'm really good in the living room. I just need the opportunity, right? This breakfast club that we do is about creating that opportunity. It's about getting you out in front of more people, whether it's circle prospecting, expireds, FISBOs, whatever. It's about the conversation and how to create opportunity for yourself. So if you found yourself in 2023 saying, gosh, I just really haven't had enough at bats, I haven't had enough opportunities, then this breakfast club is what will give you those opportunities. Now, objection to the breakfast club, it's 7:30 in the morning. Like, who wants to wake up and be on a sales call at 7:30 in the morning? Answer, I do. Answer, you should too. Okay. That's a huge call for everybody. The number 2 objection that you get is, well, I don't want to sound aggressive. Okay. You don't have to be an aggressive salesperson to create opportunity for yourself. What you do need to do is learn how to be the best version of yourself, which is how to identify problems, how to create solutions, what people are really saying when they tell you things. You know, I think this is the number one thing that we learn on the Breakfast Club is people will give you information without being direct, and it's up to you to hear it, and it's up to you to create a solution for it, right? And you're not hearing what people are actually saying if you're not well versed in what you're already going to say. If you don't have a roadmap for what you're going to say, you're going to be constantly thinking on every phone call about what you're going to say next, which means you're not listening, right? And if you're not listening to what people are telling you, because if you listen close enough, people will tell you exactly what they need, then you're just wasting opportunity every single day. Sorry, Michelle, I interrupted again.
All right.
Well, I even think that's great, but I would even say for this number 3 is get really good at what to ask.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of what Cooley's talking about, you know, if you get really good at asking questions, people are going to identify that you're the person that is really focused on the right things, and it's what they're most focused on, because what you're taking in the conversation is from the questions that you're asking them, right? And I also think with the Breakfast Club is amazing. It should be 30 minutes of the 2 hours that you work on your skills every day, right? It should be the beginning. It gives you that understanding of how your role-playing practice and how you're working on your skills should actually be looking like. And you got to work on this stuff. If your kid was playing basketball, baseball, anything, and he said, oh, I only practice 20, 30 minutes a day, guys, you would be like, you're never gonna be anything that you want to be, right? To really become that person that you want to be, you're gonna have to outwork everybody else. Now, over time, you'll have the skill set that a lot of great agents have, and maybe you can get away with not spending 2 hours a day working on your skills, or maybe for most people, so I don't scare people, an hour to 2 hours a day working on your skills. You'll get so good at it that you may not need to do it as much, but that's not right now in most cases. If you're looking to grow the business, it's going to take more of this.
Yeah. And just to answer this real quick, guys, there's a whole bunch of you. I'm accepting all of you that have requested. So same thing. I'm just trying to keep this clean since I'm presenting. That's why I'm having you guys message me directly on Instagram or email. It's all in the chat. Just message me Breakfast Club. We'll get you guys all access. So you guys can see the difference in what we're talking about, and actually check out this live training. So I've made it where all of you guys can message me, those of you that were asking. So we should be good to go. Okay. And then step number 4, guys, hopefully you guys are writing this down. Okay. You have to surround yourself with the right people. Here's what I mean by that. Okay. You have to have the right mentors, the right coaches, the right ecosystem, the fellow agents fighting the same fight that already are doing what you're trying to accomplish, right? That have already been there, are already there, are already at those high levels so that you can be in those environments, right? They're going to share the information on what it takes to get there. They're going to, and again, when I say they're fighting the same fight as you, this is how you bridge that gap from, man, it took me a year to do this, where people can get results in 2 weeks, in 30 days, in 60 days, in 90 days. You can change your business that quickly if you were in the right environment, because they're going to give you the roadmap. They're going to give you the playbook. They're going to help tweak what you're doing on a daily basis. Agents are going to help answer your questions. Everyone's going to help in pushing towards that same fight, if that makes sense. You have to get into those environments. It also creates accountability. And again, it just increases that learning curve tenfold, 20-fold, maybe even 50-fold, if I could go out on a limb and say that, right, Chris? This is why you have to look at, again, going back to decide what direction I'm going to do in this business. I'm going to attach myself to those leaders, that environment, those people, that system. Watch what happens with your results, right? Not just, oh, I heard you could do, like Chris was talking about in the very beginning when he was talking about the 5 pillars. Everybody's gone after listings at some point in their career, even if it was for one day, and was like, oh, this sucks, not for me, right? You just simply didn't have the help. You didn't have the time to put in. You weren't in the right environment with the people that can help you get results right away to go, oh, this is how you do it. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah, you really got to create the island effect. And the island effect is you only allow people on your island that are going to, support the strategies that you're pushing forward, right? And so whether it's other agents, whether you're on social media, if there's people out there that are going to take you away from your island, you need to disconnect immediately. There's too much distraction out there, right? And so you have to be around the crazy people that want to do amazing things and have 100% belief that they can accomplish it, versus most offices, most people in the business, they're talking about all the negative. But then, like when I mentioned earlier, we have new agents, brand new, 20 years old, taking 2-3 listings in their first month. Well, the reason why that is they don't even know any of the negative yet. But then over time, if they get around the wrong people, they'll start thinking it's hard, when they didn't know anything, it was easy. So, sometimes we overthink things. Make it very simple. And if the people that you're surrounding yourself are not like the 5 out of the 100 that are willing to go into the fire, then, you need to get away from those people.
This is this, if you guys took a snapshot and hopefully wrote down some additional notes, I'm about to jump into the more tactical, meat and potatoes next, you guys. But here's keeping it simple, Chris, as you said, here's the magic pill. Okay. Everyone want the magic pill? It's being intentional about what you're looking to accomplish. Okay. The whole purpose of a business plan, the whole purpose of all of this, that's the magic pill, right? It's be intentional about exactly what you're looking to accomplish. You need to know what it is. You need to know what lead generation activities you are willing to do, that you're planning on doing. You have to get really, really, really good at it. And then you have to get surrounded by the right people that are going to help you grow. That's the simple answer. Okay. So hopefully that resonates with you guys. Moving on, we will have time for Q&A at the end, you guys. I realize, Chris, I'm just as big of a talker as you, so I take forever. So let's talk about the numbers. I'm a super nerd for this stuff, so I tried to make it as visual as possible on a screen. We're going to go fast, but I want to give you guys, I get so many questions with agents, so I wanted to slow this part down and actually work it through with you. Can anyone on here actually in the chat, actually, you know what, here, let me see if I can just attach it really quick. Chris, I think we have like the same, probably the same exact document. Just so you
Yes.
guys have, it's a really simple blank, worksheet. It's like 4 pages. It's a business plan for 2024. I think I'm just working on page 2. So I want to talk about your working metrics, the working numbers, right? As you digest what we did 2 weeks ago, what we talked about so far, you have an intentional plan of what you're going after. How do we create these numbers, right? And then what are the tools that you guys have to work with, which I'm going to give to everyone here. You guys are going to walk away with our daily tracking sheets, with our digital numbers analyzers and performance. You guys are going to get all of that to leave with here. I'll be including it. And so what do I mean by working numbers? Okay. So if you got any of you, I just put in, oh, sorry, I just sent it directly. Let me attach it to everybody. I just realized. Just so you guys can have it. This is something you can print out. I just want you guys to have, the biggest thing is you can probably take a screenshot and write your own notes, because my objective today is that you understand what the numbers actually mean. So the meaning behind it, so you can go create your custom plan, and hopefully you can even do it while we're just live here right now. Okay. So now I just sent it again to everybody. So to do this plan, I just, for visual purposes, you guys we're in different markets all across the country here, which is really cool, right? We've got all sorts of price points, all sorts of stuff. Okay. How I build these business plans outside of having an individual personal conversation with you, Aaron, right? You're the top person I see here, is I'm going to use a nice, easy, round number. So you guys want to base this off of your averages. I like to use a $10,000 gross commission. Okay. That's pretty average nationwide, might be accurate for some of you guys, will be wildly off for some of you. So base your numbers off your own reality. Okay. So you need to write that down first. What's my average gross commission? Okay. So we're going to use the $10,000 for our example. And then we look at how many working weeks are there in a year, right? We know there's 52 weeks in the year. I build everything off of a 40 week working year, right? Because right off the top, I was just, so again, being more specific, you can gauge your annual calendar how you want. I know that we're going to have personal days, vacation days, sick days, conferences, all vacations, like all this kind of stuff, 12 weeks off the top. So we're going to gauge everything off of a 40 working week annual year. Okay. Then, so let's talk about these businesses.
Michelle,
What? Go
I
ahead.
have to say, I'm talking to one of my buddies who's buying a house with us right now. Great friend, makes a really good income. He gets 2 weeks a year. What an amazing industry we're in, where we can cut, 12 weeks off the damn year and go try to make 300 grand. Holy crap. You know what I mean?
So I'm going to do, I know, right? And, but I think that's fairly accurate, Chris. If I said, how much are we actually working?
Yeah.
We thought about it, for a full-time agent. I think that's pretty accurate. Okay. Now let's talk about these business metrics. So I'm going to map this out for you guys in a very strategic way so you can do your own numbers. For the example purposes, again, I'm using a $10,000 gross commission, and I'm going to gauge this off of a $300,000 income, which would be obviously easy math, 30 units. I want you guys to understand how I break down the rest, right? This should only take us about 5 minutes here. So then you can go back, because your goal might be 1.5 million. It might be 150,000, right? Your price point might be an average of a $20,000 commission. Your average price point might bring you a $7,000 commission. So you need to adjust your numbers accordingly. Okay. I'm going to use this just for demonstration purposes on my screen here. Okay. So to create this, now we have to map our numbers backwards. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of bullet the next 4 out so we can talk about it just for 1 minute here, Chris. When we go, okay, well, what's going to bring us the 30? Okay. So this is what I'm doing for my example for you guys. Number 1, let's jump down to bullets number 5 and 6. This is where you have to be intentional in your decision on what's the direction of my business. What was the reality of my business last year, right? Maybe you sold 20 homes last year. 90% of it was buyers, right? Where's your business coming from? So there's going to be a reality in going, where am I looking to build my business? Where do I want it to be? Maybe I'm doing a shift in that, right? Maybe I'm shifting more towards a 50-50, or maybe I'm going more of a 50-50 towards a 75-25 spread between buyers and listings. Does that make sense to you guys? So you have to make a decision intentionally on where you're putting your business effort towards in your activities. Okay. For my example here, because I work with so many agents that are not only listing heavy, but are looking at becoming more listing heavy. I'm doing this at a 25 listings sold spread to a buyer, 5 buyer sold spread. This could be anything, guys. It could be 20 listings, 10 buyers. You'll see how to break the numbers. Now, do you guys think, Chris, you mentioned this earlier, if you were to close 20 listings, 15 listings, 20 listings, 25 listings, you're gonna probably get several buyer transactions out of that?
For sure. Sign calls, they're going to move somewhere, you know, you'll post it on Instagram. It's a great house. Somebody replies to it. I'm looking for a house. What do I got to do to get started? Listings create buyers.
Referral business of them going out of the area. Listings drives the marketing. Listings drives buyers. All of the above. Okay. So for our example purposes, this is where you start. Then we're going to work our way up. And I'm just going to give you guys averages. Okay. Where this gets fun is, Aaron, when you've been actually measuring and tracking your business this next year, and we get it, we know exactly what your business metrics are. These can be exact calculations. And I'll talk about how you actually figure that out. So if we wanted to sell 25 listings in 2024, you're going to have to list at minimum 30 listings to have 25 closed by the end of the year, right? And you can even buffer that range. I would say a safe range would be minimum 30 to that 25 ratio, if not even 30 to 35, right? In order to close the 25. Does that make sense to you guys? You're going to take listings in November and December that don't sell until the following year. Okay.
Exactly.
Hopefully your call out rate is very small, right? But that's going to be the reality of how you create this. And then comes the more meat potatoes is, well, where do I spend my time? Where do I spend my effort? Okay. So to go, if I want to actually take 30 listings, and quick talk track on that, right? We know that industry average, what is the conversion rate from listing appointment to getting a contract signed, Chris?
NAR stage 20%, 2 out of 10.
2 out of 10. Okay. Those of you that work with me hear me talk about this all the time, right? Average is 2 out of 10. Okay. Actually trained listing professionals, it's 70% or higher. Okay. Take a pick. Aaron, you go out on 10 listing appointments. I go out on 10 listing appointments. You go out there and you bring back 7 contracts signed and closed. I get 2. Okay. Same exact time spent driving, preparing, presenting. You come back with 7 signed. I come back with 2 signed. Okay. This is the difference of actually being trained to be a listing agent and to be able to separate yourself. Okay. So knowing that that's the average. Okay. And then knowing that you should be working towards increasing that percentage. Some of you guys might go, well, I'm at 100%, right? I do 5 listings a year, all for my past clients that call me. I close all of them. I know that. Not when you go out and get listings. This is a different process and game to go out and get 25 more listings to add to your business, right? 50 more listings to add to your business, 5 more listings to add to your business, that you have to go out there and compete and sell yourself. So if you guys do the math on this, I'm using in this example a 40% conversion ratio, right? Because I know that you guys, anyone that's here, you're going to participate in the different trainings, things that we offer, even the stuff that we only are doing periodically, monthly, quarterly. It's going to give you enough to elevate you from the average, where you should have a 40 to 50% conversion ratio on the low end. So I do everything low, easy. I do everything on the low end. This is on a 40% conversion rate. Feel free to do it at a 50%. Some of you know you're at a 70, 80, even 90% conversion ratio, right? This is where once you know your numbers, you can create your plan accordingly. I'm using the example here at a 40% close rate, right? So it's fairly low. That means, Aaron, in 40 working weeks, you got to go on 75 appointments. So do the math on that, guys. That's 2 per week. Is there anyone on here that can't go on 2 listing appointments a week? That doesn't think that's attainable, doesn't think that's reasonable, doesn't think that fits into their schedule and their time?
Well, Michelle, if you said, hey, can you show up to prospect with me for 3 hours? They'll figure something that can get in the way. But if somebody called them and say, hey, come list my house, they'll drop their kid right now to go take that listing. You know, so you can find the time.
But this is what, do I have any questions for me on this? I know it's like simple, but I wanted to slow it down to show people how we create this math. Because again, when you simplify at the end of the day, it's, I have to be on 2 appointments a week. So now to be on 2 appointments a week, that's going to turn into, well, how many appointments do I need to set, right?
Write that down. Everybody write that down.
How many appointments
do I actually need to set to physically go on 2? Is the answer 2 appointments? We all know that's not the answer, right? For some of you, it may be 3. Some of you, it may be 6. Some of you, it may be 12. because there's going to be times where you look into that property and you look at what the seller wants, and what's actually going to happen is so far away from what they want, makes no sense for you to actually go on that appointment, right? There's going to be people that decide to ghost you and you can't get a hold of them again. There's so many things that can get in between you actually getting out there for the appointment that you can't bank on. Oh, I'm just going to set 2 appointments this week, so I'm going on 2. And we all know what happens. Somebody sets an appointment, they stop prospecting. Statistically, that appointment never even takes place. That's why after you set 1 appointment, it's the perfect time to go set another one and another one to make sure you actually got one to go on. Anybody ever set an appointment and that person never answered the phone again? You ever set an appointment and you realize they're nuts and they're never going to get that price? Get back to work and you set another appointment.
Yeah. And so when I bullet out the rest of this, guys, just to make it super simple, right? We're all working here, right? I just have 40 hours a week. So that should be the minimum. Like, we put in the work, right? And I'll tell you what, if you're intentionally doing the work, you can get a lot more done intentionally in a fraction amount of the time that other people do. If you intentionally focus on your lead generation, you can do 3 times more than most people will do in 3, 4, what they do all day in those 2 or 3 hours. Okay. If you're intentional and focused with what you're doing. I watch this every single day. People are concerned about all sorts of stuff. And it's like, no, like, people are over here manually dialing, doing this from scratch, don't know anything, and they're outperforming you 4x, right? Yep. If you're intentional about what you are doing, you can create the result, whether it's from your database, whether it's from your leads, whether it's from sellers, it doesn't matter what it is. And so these are just good gauges, you guys, because some of you are like, I already do this. Some of you are like, I don't do any of this. Some gauge points, I guess, from me to everyone on here to go by. You got to do the work, right? There should be 3 hours a day. When we go back to that last slide, number 2, which was time block, there should be 3 hours a day intentionally towards your client acquisition or lead generation time. Okay. Prospecting, follow up. So whether this is heavy database driven, I don't care if you're circle prospecting, I don't care if you're working your lead gen, I don't care where it's coming from. That would be, to me, the minimum of what it takes to dominate right now is going to be 3 hours a day. Some of you are doing more of this. Some of you are doing less of this. Depends on your world, your goals, your objective, your schedule. That, to me, should be the objective goal for everyone on here if you're trying to do any type of significant business.
And I would say, if your goal is to go on appointments every afternoon, 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock, and you don't have an appointment and you want to grow the business, you need to be lead generating for at minimum an hour that you would have been meeting with a seller.
Yeah.
The days that you're actually not meeting with anybody in the afternoon, if you don't want that to be the regularity in your business, then you need to be communicating with more people in the afternoon until you're so good prospecting in the morning that every afternoon there's an appointment for you, if that's the goal. That's how you force it. A lot of times when we're talking to agents, they don't understand how to be competitive. They think competition is with them and other agents. Your competition is you trying to get a better conversion rate and work on those KPIs better you want to see those KPIs constantly change. Hey, last month I set 10 appointments and I actually got to go on 4 and I actually took 2. Well, the next month you had the same metrics, but you took 3 or 4. So now your conversion rate is just getting so much better. Your profitability is getting better. Your mood, your mindset, your confidence is getting better. You have to really get competitive with yourself. And this is what we're actually talking about when it comes to competition. This is the kind of competition that's going to make the difference.
Yeah. And going back to like the simplest version of the KPIs that you guys need to look at, right? This is your formula. How many people do I need to talk to get an appointment? How many appointments do I need to go on to get a contract signed? This is your formula to business, to making money. If you can't tell, I like to just like simplify everything. It doesn't have to be complicated. We don't have like 27 different metrics that we have to track, right? This is what it takes. Jim, I see your question there. I did want to highlight on that. I want to know if there's any questions right now, because you should be able to take a screenshot of this. You guys will all get a copy of this recording to then map out your exact numbers. And so again, going back to even the slide before, remember, these are based off of
40 weeks,
40 working weeks. So when I do the math here of how many deals I want to do, so how many appointments do I need to go on, I'm taking that number and dividing it by 40 to come up with how many I need to be doing a week. Does that make sense? And the goal days worked. The 200 working days is the math on that. So again, I'm using the averages across the industry that I kind of coach everyone to, is the 40 working weeks. It is equivalent to around 200 days, give or take. So Jim, that answers that for you on everyone here. Again,
And if you are a pro agent, 250 days.
Yeah. But does that make sense to you guys? So this just gives, I'm giving you like low, easy averages that you can create a plan around that's fair, that's going to be really realistic, right? 200 working days, 40 working weeks. That's what you can kind of base everything off of. But does that make sense? Does anyone else have questions here? Does this make it easier for you guys to go create that simple plan to work towards and what you need to be going after? And again, I go back to number 3, like that's where's my effort? Where's my intention? Where am I focused every day? Guess what? It's on number 3. I'm going on 2 listing appointments a week. I do that for this entire year. I end with these results at minimum because I'm doing all of these in low averages. Does that make sense to everyone here? Any questions from anyone before I move on?
Don't get intimidated by the 2 times per week, because I think there's some people that are watching this and going, I can go on way more than 2. And some haven't gone on 8 listing appointments in a month ever in their life. And I just want to let you know, it's just based on what you've been doing, and you haven't been doing the right things. And after allocating a certain amount of time doing the right things, it can become the norm for you. And this is why you have to be around other people where this is very normal. You know, there's agents out there that are going on 2 listing appointments per day, pre-qualified 100%, and they're taking 100 to 200 listings by themselves, no team, no nobody. And so if they can do that, Jesus Christ, it got to be pretty easy for you to be going on 2 a week.
I was just going to say, Chris, we actually have a team we work with in co-founders that's out of Jersey. And guess what? Their goal, when you map out their numbers, it's 2 a day. It's 12 listing appointments a week, you guys. Real life agents every day. That's how they're driving their business. So these numbers are going to be different for all of you. I want to make sure everyone, and hopefully just in this little session, you've already been able to map out the numbers that make sense for you. Mm-hmm. So you already have the start to that roadmap. Okay.
And look at how many homes are for sale in your neighborhood today or in your area. In our market, I guarantee you there's 600, 800 new listings today. Like all you need to go is, 2 a week. It's crazy.
So next thing I want you guys to write down that's going to help with this. Some of you guys are used to working with us. We got a lot of guests on here. I already know this is the lack for the entire industry, guys, for everyone. Okay. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Okay. Most of you have little to never tracked and measured what you're doing in your business, those KPIs, these different metrics. Okay. I'm telling you right now, if you're not, that means you are not running a business. Okay. And that unfortunately is a sad reality for most people in real estate. Okay. You have to measure what you're doing. I'm giving you guys just in a few minutes here some really, really simple tools that everyone can use to drive this forward. Okay. So first I'm going to cover with you guys what you can do on a daily, and I keep it simple. So I've been doing this for a long time. I've been coaching with agents, managing companies for many, 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 many years. I won't even say how long to age myself. Okay. And there's a lot of things we can do. We can do all these digital systems and do all this cool stuff. I already know the simpler, the better. Okay. The simple little piece of paper printed out in front of me is going to go a lot farther than this cool, sexy digital system I give you, because I like digital. I'm a digital person. I'm going to give you guys both. I already know what's going to be most effective to actually get agents to use it, execute with it. Okay. So I'm going to talk about this. I'm only going to spend a few minutes on it. Your daily tracking. I'm going to give you guys a numbers analyzer. I'm going to put this all in the chat right now so you guys can pull it. And as well as accountability. My favorite, Chris, that you said, right? Accountability equals execution. My favorite line. Okay. So let me stop sharing for 1 second. So I can pull these up. Let me do. Okay. Can you guys?
While she's pulling it up, the agents that are in Pro Agent here at EXP and that are probably getting the most results are the ones that are the most fanatical about having a group of people that they can report to 3 times a day, right? And everybody has expectations of hitting certain standards, but they're also filling out a daily sheet like this. They're filling out a weekly sheet, a monthly sheet, and it's all based off of the same parameters, right? And it's keeping them moving forward. It's making them competitive with themselves.
Simple formula, you guys. And again, I already know most of you don't do this unless you're already used to running in our ecosystems, because then you guys have been running with this really simple sheet, guys. Nothing fancy, nothing you maybe haven't seen before. Okay, and I'll put this in the chat in a second. But these are the things we need to measure. Okay, and the reason this is built out this way is on purpose. You need to be tracking. I'm going to show you what a complete filled one out is to be effective. And again, you're doing this for you. This is your own accountability. This is so you can actually start measuring what's bringing you results. Okay. Working with buyers, I need to be tracking how much time I'm spending, how many showings it takes to get a buyer under contract, how many buyers I have to get under contract to get the deal to close. Mm-hmm. These are the metrics you have to measure. It's time spent. Okay. It's resources spent to get X result. Period. Doesn't matter where the business is coming from. So these tracking sheets are very, very simple, you guys. These are the things I want you to write down. That these are, when we talk about those KPIs, the things that you have to measure in your business. I want to know, number one, okay, so whatever these categories are, who cares? This is a Word document. Change it, edit it, scratch it out. You just need something you're tracking. I don't care if you got Zillow leads on here. I don't care if you've got whatever it is, doesn't matter. Okay. The point is you need to be tracking your efforts and the sources of business that you're working. Okay. And you need to mark off how many people you're talking to, right? Your contacts made. So here's what I want to be tracked. I want the time spent. Everyone write that down first. This is very, very important. If it takes you 8 hours to make 25 contacts, that's a problem. Okay. That doesn't make sense. How can we make you efficient in what you're doing, right? Because someone else is making 25 contacts in 2 hours. Does that make sense to you guys? You need to track your time spent to get the result that you're getting, right? These are all things that we can improve in your business. And then I want to know how many people you talk to. I went back to that success formula. How many people you have to talk to create an appointment? How many appointments you have to go on to get a contract signed, right? We need to know how many contacts you are making. And then of course, how many appointments you're setting. And then this is something I want to highlight here that's important on our end that I always have agents track for us. I want to know, with all your contacts you make, whether you speak to 5 people, 10 people, 30 people, 50 people, I want to know what's happening in those conversations. I want to know where you got stuck. I want to know what objection you couldn't get past, right? I need to know those details, and so do you. This is the difference of how an agent can make adjustments in their first 7 days to start getting the results they need in week 2. Make more little adjustments and then get the results they need in week 3. Make more little adjustments, get the results they need in week 4. Instead of, oh, well, I've been working on my Zillow leads. Oh, I've been working my circle prospecting. Oh, I've been going after FSBOs and I just keep shutting down. This sucks, because no one's working with you on these small details. Does that make sense?
Bring us the problems.
These small tweaks is what gets you the win this week, because you're actually tracking what you're doing. Someone like us can actually look at that, make the adjustment with you in whatever flavor or sources of business you're working, and boom, now you get a win. Now you're creating momentum, right? And very quickly. Does that make sense to everybody? This is critical in this process that some agents just, people just aren't doing this, right? They're very nonchalant about it, right? And even agents that I work with, I'm like, no. Now starting tomorrow, let's see the details. Let's actually figure out where you're getting stuck. So tomorrow you start getting results. Okay, that quickly. Any questions on that, on the metrics that we want tracked? I'm going to show you guys really quick here's an example of one that's filled out. I hope that's
the Titanic, I think.
I hope that's not blurry. But like, so just pretend here, right? If I was working with you, if I was coaching with you, this is what's going to help make you better. And I know it's a little blurry. The what's written on here doesn't matter. It's the fact that she's tracking how much time she spent. They're tracking how many contacts they made. They're tracking how many appointments they set. And this is the part that I'm looking for, right? Mm-hmm. They're tracking what they're getting, what they're dealing with, right? What are they dealing with the most right now in the holidays, in November, December, in the current market? That's the stuff we help you overcome. That's the stuff we help you tackle. Watch the results you will start getting right now, because you actually pay attention. You actually care about your business, and you're actually tracking this. That's what it should look like. You want to help yourself improve. You want to help your business. This is what it takes to build your business. Not it happening by accident, not it staying up here. Nobody can help you with that. Does this make sense to everybody? Is this helpful?
Yes.
I see some questions on here. To be part of EXP to join the Breakfast Club? No, you are our guest. This is open. We will invite you in. Are those the conversations she had at the top, or calls made up here? That's a good question. People track that differently. I track, just so you know, to answer that question, whoever just asked it, I make a slash for calls made, and then I circle for the contact. So when I'm done with my few hours of prospecting, I count up my circles, and I've got, boom, I've got 27 contacts, right? The biggest thing is I'm filling in the numbers. And then the number one thing, in addition to this, is the accumulation, okay? The day-to-day, you're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have worked your butt off and created 0. Some days you're going to work your butt off and you got 5 appointments in one day, okay? The day-to-day doesn't matter, but you have to do the activity daily. You have to track it daily, whether you're going after buyers, whether you're tracking what you're doing with open houses. Again, whether you're tracking what you're doing with all of your internet leads, you have to track what you are doing, and is the accumulation of those that's going to actually tell us where your skill levels are, where we can improve things right now so your results get better right now. Does that make sense to you guys? And you can't do the accumulation without monitoring what you're doing every day. Okay.
Yeah, Michelle, and I would say everybody on here needs to ask themselves, how many of these sheets have they filled out in 2023? And how would their 2024 look like if they actually had 200 of these bad boys filled out? Can you imagine how much listings and how many buyer deals and how much opportunities you'd be in front of if you had 200 to 250 days where you took massive action and got to fill out that sheet? And then you just worked on every day creating a better conversion rate, getting better at your skills. And what Michelle's talking about with writing all those, questions and problems, you have somebody that you're actually going to with those problems. Do you have a Michelle, a Cooley, a Yolanda, a me, or somebody that you're going to and you're going, hey, I got to get past all these objections. And then now we know what to work with you on. If you don't have people to work on that stuff with, then you're probably just going to keep switching to the next pillar and nothing's ever going to get that good. And we see agents do that. They start off expired because they hear other people like it and they get listings from it. They don't get any results from it. They stop. They go to something else, something else. You need to take 3 to 5 of these pillars and find all the issues that you're having with them and come to some kind of a leader that knows how to convert and can get you to move the needle on those things.
Now, we only got 15 minutes left, guys, so I'm going to give you guys another treat, okay? So here's the uber nerd in me, because I love automation. I love spreadsheets. I love digitalness, okay? This is something, I'm going to drop this in the chat in a moment. I just put that blank daily tracking sheet. Super simple, you guys. It's a Word document. I just put that in the chat, so any of you guys can go grab that right now. All the agents I work with, they're trained. They've got 50 copies printed in their office every day. You sit down at your desk for your lead generation time. They pull that out. They got that in front. Again, that manual process is a must. I'm telling you, okay? Now, digitally, okay, I'm going to give you guys all a copy of this numbers analyzer you can start using already. It's already built out for the entire year. It's all built in. It's all automated. It's got some data points filled in automatically just to give you an example of how this works, but you would go in and just clear that. You guys can all see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you're going to go in. You're just going to clear that data to start fresh from you. So here's where you start. The only thing you're going to enter information right now is your goals for 2024. Okay. So this is where you're going to put in how many appointments you need to go on, how many listings you want to take, how many buyer sales you want to have. Simple, right? How many closed transactions? What's my gross commission, a sale price, basic information based off your business plan you created. Okay. From that point forward, all these daily tracking sheets that you have, right? Every single week, this is something you time block on your schedule. This will change your business overnight, you guys. Whether this is, I used to do it Monday mornings for 15 minutes. And really it was like a 4-minute task, okay? But I had it blocked out for 15 minutes every Monday for me for what happened the previous Monday through Sunday, okay? So whatever that is on your schedule, I suggest Monday mornings because I like to be focused. I'm starting the week fresh. I know what happened the week before. I do this. It's accountability to myself. Hopefully I'm sending it to an accountability partner, my coach, whoever. Do this every Monday morning, blocked out first thing in the morning, okay? Now, here's what I do. For the previous week. So for the first week of January, what am I doing? January 1st to January 7th. I'm filling in how much I worked, how many hours I actually spent on lead generation, how many contacts I made for the week, how many appointments I went on, all the way even to your closings, you guys. It's very basic. So here's what's cool. This takes you 5 minutes. If you're actually tracking this daily, it takes 5 minutes to add those numbers together, put them in here each week. And here's what's going to happen for you. When you click over on the analysis tab, it will automatically project all of your business. Okay. It'll tell you exactly where you're on pace, where you're behind, what your ratios are. So this is where your skill set, what you need to work on, what you need to improve. Maybe you're good at generating the appointments and going on them. Maybe your presentation skills are poor, right? Maybe you're showing houses to a bajillion buyers and not getting them under contract, right? We need to work on bridging the gap there. Watch your results change literally overnight, but you have to measure what you're doing to know. So all of this is automated, you guys, for you. If you just spend the time to actually care about your business, actually measure and monitor what you're doing, then just enter it for 5 minutes a week. You will know exactly where you're at, exactly what you're on pace for making in your money. Again, the data that's in here doesn't matter because it's just for example purposes. This is all built out and ready to go. Okay. I will give this to you guys. I'm going to pop it in here next. Jim, yeah, you're right. I'm going to add it here in the chat. So all of you guys can grab it. Okay. And anyone, of course, knows where to contact me now if there's anything you didn't get during this session that I'll send to you. We only got about 10 more minutes to wrap here. Any questions? Does anyone get excited besides me? Because I'm a super nerd about stuff like this.
I
No.
just want to see like
Me,
100 of these
Michelle.
every day.
No one else cares about this except for
I
me.
love this. I love it. I think it's amazing.
Thank you, Nancy. I think this is important. So do you guys see how if you actually started driving your business as a business, these types of metrics can help you?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So
Yes.
I will attach that right now, and hopefully that makes sense to everybody. You just want to clear out the data that's in there. Actually, I'll do that in a second as we transition to this next part. So let me pull up my PowerPoint again, just because we only got a few minutes left. Share screens. Look how agile I am with my admin ability. Okay. Okay. You guys can see my screen again? Going back to here's how you will change your business, the accountability. Again, accountability to execution. Are you scheduled and filling that out for yourself? Are you sending it to somebody, right? Who's your accountability partner on the other side? Who is your coach? Who is someone on the other side that can look at that to help you make the adjustments? These 3 things right here will change how you're able to get the results in your business with the activities that you're doing. Okay. They go hand in hand. So with that said, I'm going to do this one really, really fast, Chris. And then we can do it. So we talk about the perfect daily schedule of a top producer. Once you've decided where your activities and time are going to be spent, obviously now it's following routine, right? The freedom, the results you want, everything is in the routines that we run, guys. So this is what it looks like across the board. I don't think this is rocket science to anybody, so I'm gonna do it super fast, but just to give you a visual, right, of what this routine looks like. And I'm gonna go ahead and bull it all out really fast. For anyone that is going to be a guest, I know a ton of you guys messaged me, right? The Breakfast Club, we do 2 of them, and feel free, depending on what time zone you're in, just let us know. We do one at, it's at 7:30 a.m. on purpose, where we're practicing, we're fixing our skills, we're mastering the conversation that's relevant right now to create and convert business, okay? We do it at 7:30 Pacific and also 7:30 Central. So some of you guys are in all different time zones. You can write both of those down. That's what we're running. Okay, so we're starting out with the Breakfast Club. Our ecosystems
6:30.
are now always focused on generation, okay, from 8 a.m. to 11. Some of you, it's going to be more. Some of you, it might be shorter, right? That depends on your goals, your schedule, your life that you're designing, okay? This is a pretty general rule of thumb with that minimum 3 hours built in. It's that 8 to 11 is the sweet spot, okay? And I just give you an example, right? Then we're mastering that morning routine, which is our generation time. Then we're jumping in there and returning calls, doing admin, addressing this with escrow, addressing this with that. Then we're taking our lunch break. I love what Chris and Yolanda do at Pro Agent, okay? Every single day, they run Power Hour at 12 p.m. Central, right? It is sales training. It is sales coaching. You now are going to break off from your lead generation. You're going to learn how to be more powerful in your business. You can take your time. You can eat your food, whatever you need to do. They do that every single day at noon Central. Like, how freaking powerful is that? Then again, you have your time for your admin built out. You can deal with the escrow. You can deal with the stuff going on. You're prepping for your appointment tomorrow, that evening, whatever it is. You're responding to messages. That time is blocked out. It's not something you're reacting to every moment of the day. That's how you're not intentional in your lead generation and lead conversion time and your follow-up time. That's how you're not intentional and you don't get the right results. Okay, so that's blocked out. And then the afternoons, guys, is obviously appointment time. And then Chris even said this, right? What are we doing if we don't have an appointment? Well, there's a lot of things. You can do more prospecting. You can be 1,000,000%. You should be, this is what I always say. If you're not on a listing presentation, so think about this. You should be, based on the numbers, if someone was trying to sell 25 listings on 2 appointments a week, right? What are you doing the other 3 days that you're not on an appointment? When you're not on an appointment, you should be practicing your listing presentation.
Exactly.
That is one of the weakest skill sets of our industry. So that's a rule of thumb I'll throw out there to you guys, right? If you're not on an appointment, you should be practicing your presentation.
Yeah, and if you're
Buyer,
not,
you should be practicing your buyer presentation.
if you're not absolutely confident in your prospecting, and you don't feel like you can set an appointment every day, or 2 appointments every day, or 3 appointments every day, it's because you do not believe in the power of your presentation. And the more powerful your presentation, the more powerful your prospecting. The reason why you hear Cooley at 7:30 to 8 every day and he has this conviction is because you know if that son of a bitch showed up to a listing appointment, he's going to get it, and that gives you that conviction.
So this, I just wanted to be quick on this because then Chris, I want to end with what we're going to end with. Is this helpful so far for you guys? Everyone that's on here, the information that we're going through, is this helpful?
Absolutely.
Down in the schedule.
Oh yeah, huge.
I just dropped the numbers analyzer in there for you guys so everyone can go snag that right now, save it to your machines. But I just wanted to re-emphasize this because it all goes back to me to the intentions. Now, Chris, just in a few minutes, because now with all the information that we've shared with these guys, and Phil, I'm going to have the recording, everyone on here, because I know we got a lot of 8 people from all over the industry. I have the slide deck, plus obviously the handouts. Anyone that obviously within my group and Chris's group will post this, so you guys will get it automatically. Please reach out to me the same way I told you guys to. I will send you the PowerPoint, all of the attachments again that I included in the chat here, as well as the recording. I want you guys to have this information that hopefully you utilize and put to work. But the last thing I want to lead with, Chris, is, what do I do next, right? Like what, I got all this information. I've got my plan. I'm walking away this afternoon. I've got my roadmap ready to go, right? Chris, what should I be expecting? What should I be doing? And we only got a couple minutes.
No doubt about it. So in 2 weeks, we're going to go over real estate mastery. And I just want to line out the first 3 phases real quick. So you can identify the next steps ahead. So step number 1 is going to be formulation phase. This is what we're doing right now. It's creating the plan for 2024. And when you've encapsulated what that looks like, you have all the details, now you can get concentrated. So number 2 is going to be the concentration phase. And during the concentration phase is where, it's really where the rubber meets the road. It's where you're putting in a lot of effort and you're growing. You're battling a lot of things in your mindset because things are not as easy as you would like them to be. But in the concentration phase, you're going to learn so much that's going to over time and soon enough put you into the momentum phase. And that's where we all want to get to out of those 3 phases. We want to create a plan. We want to get in that concentration phase started, get to work. And then we want to get in this position where the actions that we're taking are getting us even more results than what was ever happening in the concentration phase. But you never really get to the momentum phase without the concentration phase. And a lot of this will make more sense in 2 weeks. But the most important thing for you right now is making sure you formulated your plan. And how I want to wrap this up on this portion is when you actually take that plan that you've written out, and you've looked at it and this is what you want to accomplish in 2024, bring that plan to one of us. Let us review that plan. Let us help you with that plan and make sure that you're not going into 2024 with the wrong plan in place. It needs to be very, very inspiring, but it needs to be also realistic, and it needs to make sure that enough of action is going to be taken, right? So those are the 3 phases to start off with right now.
Yeah. And so guys, just to wrap, I know we're about out of time. We did decent, Chris. We almost finished in time. But save the date. So in 2 weeks, Chris, myself, Cooley, we're going to be back with you guys, and we're going to dig deep on these phases that we're talking about. Because again, this goes back to everything we talked about at the very beginning. The formulation phase, you've created the plan, right? And people fall off because they don't understand what it takes to go in the time spent. We'll give you guys the exact roadmap, estimation of time, all of that you need to spend in this concentration phase in order for momentum to happen. Unfortunately, the majority of people out there, and this is true for anything, this is true for our exercise plans, our diet plans, our prospecting plans, our lead generation plans, our business plans, we stop right before we build momentum, but because we don't understand what it's actually going to take, and people stop right before they get their break. Right before they create momentum. So we're going to lay that out for you guys. It's going to be an incredible session. So I want you guys to reach out, just save the date for December 12th. And with that said, let me stop sharing. Let's get rid of this super dark view in the background.
If you guys like content like this, and we put a lot of reels out, if you want to follow me on Instagram, Texas Real Estate Go, look up Chris Hardy Jr. I try to put a few reels out a week, and it's always based around things like this. And you just want to have things on your feed that are reinforcing what you're trying to accomplish instead of BS on your feed that are not going to do anything for what you're trying to accomplish. And so find us on there. I'd love for you to see anything we put out.
Yeah. So one, hey, Chris, thank you for your time. I hope everyone found this valuable. This is, again, me, super nerd. This is like one of my favorite things of the year to talk about. Really passionate about it. Again, you guys know where to find me on Instagram, Michelle Wilson, EXP. That's super easy for me to manage the messages you guys send me, or on email, but send your email to me in those messages. If not, we're going to ask for it, and I'll send you kind of the whole little package. Okay. And then last but not least, 2 minutes, and then we'll wrap, close you guys out. We'll seal up the recording. Any questions for Chris and I, or on anything? Any questions from anybody?
Oh, I love questions. If you're really
Hey,
trying to
Michelle.
grow, there should be questions that come to mind.
I do have one. I noticed there was no mention of open houses in there in any of your time or your schedule. Is that just not an approach that's really like proving to be valuable?
That's a great question, Maggie. And no, not at all. So I'll tell you this, open houses absolutely are effective. And then again, name all these other different ways we do business.
Right.
We just specifically were listing out the top 5 ways that are going to bring you the biggest result and the fastest result. Then you start layering out 100 different lead generation companies and strategies. You got open houses, you've got mailers, we've got farming, we've got our sphere and our past clients. I was obviously on there already. You name it, like name anything, you guys. There's all these different places we can create the business. That is effective, Maggie, 100%. What needs to happen though is that you're tracking the return you're getting from that. And this is how you can measure. This is why the session I did 2 weeks ago is so important. And for those that you guys want that, make sure you've reached out to me, because you'll get that today too. You need to be able to assess the reality of where you're getting your business and the time spent on it and the return you're getting. So number one, we can improve what you're doing in that source, because open houses, what for sure is a great source, right? And then depending on how many deals you need to add or what you need to create in the market today, what sources should you add? Does that make sense? So it doesn't mean like, oh, I'm going to stop doing my farming. Oh, I'm going to stop doing open houses. Oh, I'm going to stop working. I'm 100% buyers right now. No. You don't change any of that. Let's make those better. But we're showing you the top 5 ways that are bringing you the most business, the fastest right now.
Okay,
Maggie,
awesome.
this is
Thank
how
you.
I would put, if open houses are important to me and I wanted it to make it one of my top 5 lead generation pillars, I'd be watching how I actually do open houses. Am I the typical agent showing up 5 minutes before, throwing 3 signs out and hoping I have, a ton of people coming in? Or am I prospecting the neighborhood, getting on Kohl's Realty or whatever, and calling everybody in that neighborhood, inviting them to the open house? Am I showing up looking like $1 million? Am I showing up the day before, knocking on doors for an hour to 2 hours, inviting people in? Because open houses are the way you get more listings. You can get more buyers, but if you're going to get more listings, it's not going to be from us sitting in there waiting for people to come. And so I would even, if I was going to do an open house, I'd have an agent at the open house that I feel like presents the property correctly, can explain the property correctly, and I would actually be in the trenches in the neighborhood the whole time, pushing people over there to the place. And you're going to show sellers in the marketplace exactly what you to get a damn home sold versus everybody else who just shows up 2 minutes before, hoping that the buyer's going to come in. So I would look at what is my actual open house strategy that I'm actually doing. And is it working for me? And what's it going to take for me to make it worthwhile, to make it something that I do once a week? Because if you did that once a week, you're going to have a ton of results.
That's excellent. Thank you. Yeah, because you hit the nail on the head. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, you guys? I'm going to take it, Chris, that I'm so annoyingly detailed and thorough that you you guys don't have any other questions right now. So thanks, you guys. Appreciate everyone spending their time on here. Our plan was to keep it under an hour and a half. Again, save the date for December 12th. I got tons of messages. So by the end of today, you guys will all get this kind of package and sent out. Those of you with Pro Agent and co-founders, you guys will by default see the recordings posted and all the attachments as well. So Excited to have an awesome 2024, guys. Obviously, it starts now. Everything we're doing right now is the results we're going to have in January and February. Okay, I know everyone knows that. So our 2024 already getting started. Be intentional about the days you're working. Be intentional about your days off. I love it. Take the week off. You got family in town. You're traveling. You're going to Disneyland, right? That's what I'm probably going to do. Be intentional about that time off. Be intentional on the days that you're working. Watch what happens for the start of your year over everyone else in this industry. So love you guys. We'll talk to you soon. I'll be following up with you guys this afternoon.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Ciao.